Shabbat Shalom, everyone. This evening, as we make our way out of the festival of Hanukkah and back into just regular old Shabbat, which is always wonderful, we're thinking this evening about how is it that we can carry on the spirit of the miracle. Of course, the miracle of Hanukkah took place dozens of centuries ago. And when we celebrate Hanukkah, remember the miracle of the Hasmonean revolt and the miracle of the oil that lasted. But the light that we lit over the past 8 nights, we have tried to keep that light reflecting and reverberating through those generations. We celebrate Hanukkah at the darkest time of the year. We know that the winter solstice is upon us in just a couple of days, and the moon is quite small at this time. We live in a darkened world right now, a world darkened by this pandemic and the fact that so many of us are away from the people that we love. We are stuck in our homes, lucky if we have loved ones with whom we live, but distant from everyone else around us. And so at this, the darkest time of the year, with the darkness of the pandemic still weighing upon us, it is appropriate to wonder what might the miracles be that lay ahead of us. As Rabbi Mates mentioned at the beginning of services tonight, one of those miracles was a vaccine that rolled out into the community this week, and we learned just as Shabbat was beginning, another vaccine was approved this evening for use in the community as well. That certainly is a miracle that we look forward to sharing as we go forward. But there's also, in addition to the science and everything, another miracle that we are experiencing right now, at least when we're privileged to be a part of it, is the miracle of how we are doing our best to take care of one another, and the miracle of people who put their own interests to the side to support those in need around them. And I mention that tonight because it is in some way part of the lesson of Parshat Miketz, the portion that we read this evening. In addition to the dreams and the hopes that we get to at the end of the portion, in the middle of the portion, we are reminded of the brotherly strife that has infected this family. We think particularly of the brother Judah. Judah, who had the original idea to kill his brother Joseph because he was so smarmy and arrogant and all of those things. But that was Judah's original intention. It took the older brother, Reuben, to step in and say, well, let's not kill him. Let's just throw him in a pit and see what happens. Oh, and then we can sell him to these wandering Ishmaelites who come by. In this Torah portion, Judah has learned from his mistakes. Judah has deep concern for the younger brother Benjamin when the viceroy of Pharaoh calls Benjamin to appear before him. The brothers were all worried what the fate of Benjamin might be. Could it be that he could be imprisoned or even worse? Now, of course, the brothers didn't know that that viceroy of Pharaoh was another one of their brothers, Joseph. And when we think about the idea of the brothers wondering how they could take care of one another, it reminds us of one of the very first questions that was asked in the Torah. Hashomer achi anochi. Am I my brother's keeper? The words that Cain so challengingly asked to God when God asked Cain where his brother Abel had gone, knowing that Cain had killed him. Am I my brother's keeper? Am I responsible for the goodwill of my fellow human beings around me? The lesson that Judah learned throughout his lifetime from his original behavior toward Joseph, towards his eventual concern for Benjamin, and of course the family reunification, the answer to that question is, of course. Of course we are each other's keepers. Of course we have responsibilities that extend beyond just what I want to do for myself in any given moment. That is in part what has made the pandemic so challenging. What's made this pandemic so challenging is not just that I am fearful for my own health, although each of us are certainly have the right to be, but the complicating factor that with this asymptomatic virus, that my behavior could inadvertently and unbeknownst to me affect the health of others as well. Hashomer achi anochi, am I my brother's keeper? That's why I wear a mask. That's what makes masks different than seatbelts, for example. I put on a seatbelt to keep myself safe. I've been asked to put on a mask, yes, to keep myself safe, but even more powerfully, to keep everybody else around me safe as well. In this time, in this moment, we are all staying at home so that we can guard our brothers, we can guard our sisters, we can guard our fellow community members, we can guard our loved ones and the strangers with whom and among whom we live. We stay home that we might guard them. With the beauty and the miracle of the vaccine now at the threshold of our door, we could feel like the end is nigh, like we are almost through the tunnel of this pandemic. But there have been many pieces that I have read in the news this week and in magazines reminding us that while the end might be getting closer and we might be nearing the beginning of the end, we are still in the midst of this terrible pandemic. And we ought not let our guard down in this moment. In this moment when so many of us feel the pull to be around family because of the holiday season. When we feel like how bad could it be in the next couple of weeks, the answer is it could still get very bad. But when we realize that it's just a few short months left until things will really take a meaningful change, then in just a couple of short months, we will come out of the darkness of the winter, out of the darkness of the pandemic, and be able to really embrace our brothers and our sisters and our friends and our loved ones in meaningful ways. Now is the time to remind ourselves, Hashomer achi anochi. I am my brother's keeper. I am my sister's keeper. And I ask all of you to feel and think the same way. Let's do what we can over these next few months so that we are all alive to receive the vaccine when it becomes available to us. Let us all be there to continue the miracle of the amazing scientific innovations that have been done over the past 9 months. Let us be able to gather at a point in the future where we can celebrate how that miracle not only continues, but allows us to continue in strength and good health as well. Shabbat Shalom.